red light's on, but is anybody home? I don't know. What is going on, friends? It's your old pal SPJ here. It's SPJ Live, and I get to actually have an in-person guest today, strangely enough. Who would have thought you'd be able to actually see people in the real world?
It's possible.
But it is possible if you take the proper precautions and do all the things, which we have done.
We went to each gas station in the area. We touched every nozzle, and then high-fived, and then I don't even want to talk about the other stuff we did, but yeah, it was great.
No, that's right. Dakota's back, and he is behind his little tech desk, as you can see. Yep. He's brought over quite a few little fun things that we are going to be kind of spending some time checking out today here with you guys, live and in person.
I figured I would just kind of do a restream while we're talking.
Yeah,
anybody has any tech questions?
He's doing tech work while we're doing this whole thing. And we're also going to be checking out some of these cool things. But Mr. Dakota over here, since the beginning of this year, has been off on quite a whirlwind adventure in the wilds and wilderness of the great state of Texas.
That's right.
So while you're getting this restring started, tell everybody what you have been up to.
Well, what I do up until COVID was I was a guitar tech on the road. I mean, I still do, but there's obviously no tours going on right now. So I work at a studio in Texas called Sonic Ranch, and it is the best studio in the world, in my opinion. And they have 100 guitars in-house, so I'm their guitar tech. And I have been going there for the past, I guess, like 6 years now with some of the bands I work with, recording albums and being guitar tech there and blah, blah, blah. So I was out there in June with Eric Wilson from Sublime. He has a side project called Spray Allen that's really awesome. So they did a record out there. The record just got mastered, and it's not going to be out for a little while, but they're going to be like, you know, sort of teasing some of the stuff. The guitar player in the band is Eric Sherman, and Daniel Lano on vocals, Wade Human from Unwritten Law on drums, Paul Leary from the Butthole Surfers, and Stu Brooks from Dub Trio produced this record. It's really, really awesome. I will show you some of the stuff, maybe not on YouTube Live, but afterwards. I played a little guitar solo on one of the songs. I played a little lap steel on a song, but it's a really, really great record. And I'm not just saying that because they're my friends and I was involved. I mean it. It's a really good record.
It is always one of those things. You spend all this time around your buddies. They're making records and all that stuff, and it's like naturally you want to say like, "Oh, my buddies make great stuff." But sometimes that's blowing smoke up people's asses, and that's not always true. But in this case, you actually find it to be true.
Yeah, this is a really good record. The people that were involved on it, I mean, it's really cool. It's all over the place in the best way. It's in the vein of, dare I say, like a Ween album. How every song on a Ween record is like all over the place, different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever listened to Ween, but they're definitely worth checking out. But there's hip hop on this album. There's like really heavy stuff. There's like ballads and like epic stuff. Like it's a really cool. I'm really happy with it.
Nice.
So we'll see what the future holds with touring and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
You know,
We just got to ride this thing out.
Yeah.
Keep ourselves healthy. Take your vitamins, everybody. Get some adequate rest. Try to stay low stress, which is harder to do these days. But do everything you can. I'm seeing everybody talking about how quiet it is. There's not really much I can do. We're on the laptop downstairs today. We're not up in the studio. Nothing's mic'd up. So we'll just have to try to talk louder, I suppose.
Yes.
But I can't chicken pick, but I can fake it okay. So obviously this is not my Navigator. This is a very different Fender Custom Shop Telecaster with its own story in and of itself. Dakota brought over his Kemper profiling amp, which I'm checking out some of the profiles. We're playing a little fun sort of dumbly kind of thing.
Yeah, this is a Michael Britt profile. That's a like sort of a clean dumble, and I did some a couple little tricks to EQ it a little differently on my end. And right now there's a compressor. Sorry, I forgot to talk about it. There's a compressor, which is nice, which is that light blue in the corner there. And then I have 3 different choruses lined up in a row, and I kind of do a, when I play, I can kind of show you, but if you want to mess around with it. And then there's a few other patches. There's some like, an EVH patch and a Marshall patch that are all accessible right now. But for a clean tone, I have a lot of profiles in here, and I can pull whatever off of like Rig Manager. I go to this every single time. It sounds really good.
It's nice and fat. And even with all that like low-end information that's kind of in that, because Dumble sounds like people think that the Dumble sound is very fat and it's very big and kind of hi-fi. You got like that details in there for those complex chord voicings.
It sounds like I've played a few Dumbles. And I can tell, and they're all different. And most of the time, what you're looking for in a Dumble is any of the ones that you're going to be able to play are probably overdrive specials. I've played some of the others that are a little harder to get in private collections and whatever, but most of the time you're looking at an overdrive special.
Yeah.
And you're going to be cranking that up and then kind of rolling the volume knob and doing the Robin Ford thing, and how Bonamassa has, I think the one Bonamassa used at Royal Albert Hall was voiced to Robin Ford's. It was either Larry Carlton or Robin Ford's ODS.
Okay.
I forget which one, but that's what I heard through the grapevine. And it's a digital front. The one that he used at Royal Albert Hall, with like the font of the Dumble, like the
Okay, yeah.
There's different things. Like I've got photos. Like I don't release them or anything, but I have photos of some really early Dumble stuff, and I think it was maybe Jay from Emerald City Guitars. We've talked about him in the past. He, I think he might have posted a photo. Somebody had one that was like it was like a 73, 74 Dumble with where it was handwritten in like paint pens or something.
Oh wow.
So like, I have photos of that, and I had never released them, and then I saw that, and I was like, that's cool.
That's one of those moments. Like often, you've brought over some things. Not to get too off topic on this. This is going to be kind of very much a free-for-all live stream for those of you tuning in.
Yeah. Anybody has any questions? Jump in too.
This is basically like me and Dakota getting an opportunity to hang out, talk guitar, and it just so happens to be on a day that we do the live streams. So we want you guys to be a part of that. If you got questions about vintage gear, shopping for vintage gear, how the vintage market has changed or anything like that, or Dakota's also a touring guitar tech, setting up your guitars, what kind of gear he recommends for good, honest to God, roadworthy stuff, put it in the comments section. We'll do our best to address it, and we'll also tell some stories, probably. Stories that we can tell on camera.
There's some that we can and some we can't, and we'll go to the good ones.
Yeah, but there's definitely been some things that Dakota's brought over where in the past with us making some videos together, we haven't been able to actually make videos of. It's just more, dude, you have to play this before this goes on to its next home.
I'll tell you. You know what? I'll bring that one up. I'll explain that one.
Yeah.
So what Sean is referencing is I brought over a 54 Strat one time, and the reason I can bring that up is because that guitar is spoken for now. It went to a good home. It's already gone, so I don't think anyone's going to be mad about that. But yeah, it was a 54 Strat. It was all original. It was a one owner. It was played like it was a blues guy who had it, and like the neck pickup.
Some of the Bakelite had basically been chipped away on the neck pickup, and
you can see it was on here, and from in the wear from the bottom of the neck. So all that stuff made sense to like an actual relic. We'll get to this guitar in a minute. I'm gonna finish some strings. By the way, shout out to Ernie Ball. I'm trying out some N Steel 9-46s, the skinny top, like that. I call it the Van Halen set.
Oh yeah, skinny top, heavy bottom.
Yeah, like not the full skinny. Like that to me is like 10 to 52, right? Like the it's sort of like the orange pack. Like
yeah, that's the
like
gauge that I usually.
That's
use.
like the reddish orange pack.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the yellowish orange. That's the in between the 9s and the 10s.
Hybrid slinky.
Yep, there you go. Hybrid.
Hybrid slinkies.
Hybrid theory, dude. Lincoln Park all day.
Hybrid theory.
Hybrid.
Nice. But yeah, you brought over that 54 Strat, and it was just one of those things like, at the time, as you said, it hadn't quite been spoken for. It was still on the market. But this is probably okay for us to say, but one of the things was that the seller requested that there not be photos out there and not a whole lot of... The way that I took it is that there were some definite, in the collector's market, there are things that collectors see with certain instruments, and it's that unique identifier that people are like, as soon as that goes on the market, it's almost like they're gonna pay too much because it's got that little thing about it.
Well, and it's a collector's thing where there are some guys that just, if it's on the market, they don't want it. Like they're so up there with how they buy and their collections that they don't really, to them, to walk into like a store and see it on the shelf means that guys like me, or, not that I'm in that market, I'll explain in a second, but guys like me or big collectors or other techs or whatever had seen that guitar and passed on it. Because there's a lot of fakes. I don't care what anybody tells you, there are. Now, I'm not saying it's not like 50-50, but I've seen really good fakes, and I've seen people try to pass off stuff that's not straight. And I've examined guitars with some really, like, people that really know their stuff. Like, I've been doing this for a little bit, but there's guys that are older, that they've been doing this longer than I've been alive. You know what I mean? So, in one of those cases, it was at the Texas Guitar Show, and this guy brought over, it was like a 60 Strat and some sort of, maybe a Telly. And we started looking at them, and the tuners, you can tell that they were from another guitar and like sort of clipped and pinched to like fit together as the cloisons.
Got it.
And as soon as we did that, he goes, check this out. So then we take the guard off and we start looking, and there's 100 red flags. And the guy who was trying to pass them off, he goes, oh yeah, he goes, I knew that the neck was from this and this one was here, but like, it's like, but I'm looking for, I just want like $12,000 for it. And I go, you just want 12 grand.
Just 12 grand.
Which, by the way, is like insanely over market value for a parts. Even though it's a 60 Strat, it's like, I remember Bonamassa did something where he said like, a player's grade guitar is still worth X amount, or like, he had like it wasn't like a conversion, but anyway, this was a guy that just wanted just above market value from a dealer. And I was just like, I didn't even make an offer. I said, we're really far apart, and I think you didn't realize that there's a lot more that has been switched on this guitar than you think. So I like respectfully passed. And then he came back to me the next day with it, and like tried to offer it for like way less. And I was just like, when it comes to guitars like that, I don't even touch them. It's, unless I want to keep it, or I know I'm going to sell it as like a player's grade, it's this, whatever. Because I've seen people hide some of the craziest repairs that you can't even imagine. I mean, talking about, people will do a humbucker route in a Strat, fill it with a piece of alder, sand it, refin the whole guitar, and then give it to you. And then if they don't tell you that guitar had a patch in it, there's no way you would ever know unless you literally sanded it down to the bare wood, which 9 out of 10 people are not doing as soon as they're getting a guitar. I worked at a pawn shop for years back in Philly, you know that, and I remember there was a guy who came in and he told me how back in the 80s, how he would fake Tokais to be like 50 Strats.
Interesting.
That guy was not a nice human being.
He was one of those characters.
He was a shyster of all shysters, and like I never took that information to like how to do it. I would never ever do it, but it was interesting to hear how a counterfeiter did counterfeit guitars back in the day.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, if you're at a guitar show and someone's walking by and the case looks right and the guitar looks right and you pop the pick guard and the pots look right, if you're in the middle of buying 3 other guitars and someone goes, well, I only want this much, and he goes, oh, dude, buy it and go on. That guy knows how to scam like a dealer. So then if a high-end guitar dealer has that guitar, you think it's right because it's coming from Bob's Famous Guitars or like Guitar Center Vintage or whatever. And I'm not saying anybody at GC or whatever. I'm just using him as an example.
No, it's just an
big box
example.
store. It happens. So you just have to be careful. And the thing that I like about Bonamassa is that he doesn't always take the neck off of stuff or whatever because he doesn't care. He knows if the guitar is good or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is, he's in a different market.
Yeah.
He's in a different, it doesn't matter. So, because anything that he owns is going to be established in and of itself.
Yeah.
And he really knows his stuff. I really doubt he's going to be buying fakes.
Yeah, right.
So, and everyone has an opinion on everything. I look at every guitar on a guitar by guitar basis. I don't care what the story is that somebody told me. All of that can be fabricated.
Mm-hmm.
The instrument in front of me will tell me if it's a good guitar or if it's straight or if everything's as it should be.
Right.
That's just straight up how it is.
Well, speaking of good instruments and stuff like that, somebody happened to notice the Les Paul behind us.
So that old thing?
That old thing. Someone was asking whether or not this was if this was a 70s custom.
That's exactly what you said. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I asked. So, Dakota, why don't you tell us a little bit about this deceptive-looking guitar?
I've had that guitar since I was 17 years old. I bought that when I just started working at the pawn shop. Let me try to remember how I got that one. A buddy of mine a friend of mine had found an ES 335 with like the Moog electronics with the non-F holes, whatever that model is, like the 335 Artist or whatever. He had found one of those, and the deal was, I did the research and I brought it to the guitar show and I found a dealer to buy it and we were going to split it because it was like a found guitar. His mom freaked out and was like, "You're not giving Dakota half the money on that?" I was like, "Okay, like,
whatever."
Mom's trump over what I say, right?" So instead, he goes, "I'm going to give you a guitar instead. Is that cool?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. Like, I'm not going to lose a friendship over whatever, a few $100." So he ends up giving me a guitar called a Nova, which was, there's a builder named John Buscarino, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's like a jazz, like archtop builder from Florida. Really high-end stuff. Well, he made shredder guitars in like the late 80s, early 90s. So this was a John Buscarino made shredder, like Floyd Rose, EMGs, whatever. So he gave me that guitar. I ended up trading that guitar for an Eastman, traded the Eastman for a John Bertucci, sold the John Bertucci, and then I bought that. So I have like practically nothing into that guitar other than my time of flipping and whatever. But I played that guitar, I think I got it when I was 17, and I played it in like the talent show in high school. And it didn't have a Bigsby then. But what that guitar is, it's just a 2000 Les Paul Custom.
2000 Les Paul Custom.
Which
we were both fooled that this was a 1970s custom.
Yeah, it was just really played. And I put the sticker on there. I kind of relicked it a little bit because it was already pretty beat up when I got it, and then I played it more, and then I just kind of I faded that in a little bit to kind of do the James Tyler-esque kind of thing and be a little relic. And then on the back there's some wear and and a couple like funny like stickers. But the special thing about this guitar is this is an MJ wound 59 bridge pickup, and then that's an antiquity in the neck. And I guess I had two different pickup rings and that kind of made it kind of checkerboard.
Which is fine.
And then I kind of did the the Steve Jones thing on with the pinup girl.
Yeah.
I sanded the back of the neck because I'm never getting rid of that guitar, so I don't care.
Yeah, right.
And then it has Spurzels on it, and then the Bigsby is just straight up like drilled into the top. There's no vibramate. I didn't care. I was like 18. Probably stripped the screw. Like, it's not great. And the input jack,
Oh.
the output jack is the original, and it's starting to crackle a little bit. I just pulled that out of storage, so if you hear a little crackle or something, it's probably that. But you're on tuner.
Oh, there. That's why.
Click one. Yep.
You know, we should probably put it on tuner.
There you go.
You know, don't want to get too many comments about how, oh my god, this video is so unwatchable because this one string is like out of tune more than the rest of them.
Yeah. We have the technology.
We have the technology.
So whoever asked that, great question. But yeah, it's actually just a 2000 Les Paul custom with some custom,
heavy modding.
Yeah, and it's got nickel hardware now, but it originally had gold. And one of the reasons how you can tell that, other than me telling you right now, if you look at like small stuff, like where right here you can see the gold, and then the output. Yep, that jack is a gold jack. Little things like that, because everything else has been changed.
Yeah.
So the wiring harness is still original, but obviously the pickups, and then I just put that old yellow white tone knob.
Yeah, why not? I will say what I love about it so far is that the volume knobs are so fast, because I'm usually like, low friction pots are something that I like.
That's my favorite bridge pickup in my guitars at the moment. I really like that one.
Chase Bliss board on the floor, so that was some drive from the Brothers pedal. Let's hear some of this neck pickup. So this is an Antiquity.
Yep, that's just a regular Antiquity neck from Duncan. Shout out to those guys who really like super pickups.
Stuff to that. How about some of this? Let's turn on all three of these choruses and just have some fun with that. Quick plug for our chorus pedal shootout video we did together.
That was a good video.
We stack drives, most people are stacking reverbs these days for the ambience and the whatnot. Shout outs to Strymon, by the way, who will be releasing a new reverb pedal tonight, which I hopefully will be able to get, not anytime soon, but sometime in the near future. I did actually see a couple of questions popping up, first one from Terry. What would be price difference between a player grade guitar and a non-player grade guitar? For example, like a good 60s Strat. So if someone were to be, what's the difference in price, I guess, between something that would be a player's guitar and a collector's piece?
Okay, that's a great question. I'm going to put that in the reference of a regular 60 Strat and a player's guitar, because remember, custom colors and all that kind of stuff completely goes off the friggin' off the wall prices.
And the other thing that I wanted to just add before you move on, when you say the term custom color, I don't think people realize just how broad that term is. So a lot of the things that we assume were just like standard finishes back in the day, no, those were custom colors. It's like, forget which guitar it was, like getting it in just like white was a custom color. And nowadays it's like everybody has a white guitar. But back in the day, it was a custom order.
All right, so real quick, we can actually, let's come back to that, because that's like a really cool thing that can go on for an hour in itself. So check it out. 60 Strat, let's talk about like a 60 Strat, 61, 62, whatever, like what everybody wants, like a slab board, whatever. I mean, something like that's going to probably cost you about 20 grand for a real one. For like actually things are nice. The last one I saw was a 63, and I think my buddy got like 17.5 for it. Like 18 grand. And it was awesome. He sold it to the guy. He had known where it was. He knew the guy who had it, obviously, because he sold it to him. He sold it back to him. So like everyone knew where the guitar had been, and it was established. If you look hard enough for like a refin with, maybe the electronics have been touched up or whatever, you can find a 60 Strat for under 10 grand. Like it's not impossible. I've seen them anywhere from like 6,000 to 8,000. I was at Norm's before the pandemic, and he had a 59 Strat that I think was like on the floor for like 11.5 or maybe 12. Which like obviously Norm is going to have a premium because it's Norm. Yeah. And I'm not mad at that. Like Norm is the man.
No, Norm is Norm.
But I'm saying like if Norm is selling it for 12, then that means generally you're going to be able to find them on the open market probably a little bit cheaper. So I've seen late 50s and 60 Strats for, like I said, as low as like 6,500 if it had some like serious shit going on, and I've seen them between like 8,500 and like 10 grand. And at that point, they're really, if the guitar will tell you if it's a good one. I'd rather have a late 60s or an early, or something that like played and sounded like I wanted, versus like, oh, I know this one's old, but like someone did a really bad refin and the neck, like they sanded the neck down and now it feels different. Like that kind of stuff affects the value like crazy. Like if you had a 60 Strat that somebody was like, I wanted it to feel like an Ibanez, and they sanded it to be thinner, you're never going to get the value out of that guitar ever. It's just not there. I heard a story of a guy, took it to a repair guy, and he goes, hey, I did you a favor. And he's like, what did you do? And he's like, I scalloped the fretboard a little bit, so now you can really dig into those notes. Yeah, that was on a Candy Apple Red original early, it was a rare year for Candy Apple Red. I think it was like a 64, which they didn't really make a lot of those until like 65, 66. So whatever it was an early Candy Apple Red that somebody, stupid. Anyway, so long story long, the difference in price can literally be more than 50%, like a lot of the time. And that has to do with repairs, how much work has been done, condition, and how many are on the market. There's so many variables. Because like you can ask whatever you want. Like that guitar, to me, is priceless. I'm not going to sell it. But like that thing is trash. Like for the right guy. Like I said, I just got that out of storage. I gotta switch the jack on that before I go and do anything. But that guitar, that's like a normal white Les Paul Custom from 2000. on the current market, what are you looking at? Probably like $3,000, you know, realistically, like a clean one. So maybe 2,500 on the low. That guitar is like what? If I put that on reverb, I'd be lucky to get $1,800 for it. In my opinion, I don't think anyone's gonna really go over $2,000 paying for that guitar. Not that I would want them to, but you get what I mean.
Right.
So there's that. Now when it comes back to the custom color stuff, you hit the nail on the head. Back in the day, like for example, a Les Paul Custom that would have came out in 1954, they only came in black. There's only a couple white ones, and they were prototypes that there's a guy in Pennsylvania that's got one that belonged to Les Paul, and it's like documented. But they only made them in black. And then once you got to the 70s, they did black, white, and that tri-burst, you know, like that, like I call it like the Frank Zappa burst. That's like the super cherry Les Paul Customs that he put carbon pickups in. Also with Fenders, I mean, if you were to order a Stratocaster in the 50s, they came in a sunburst. That's it. Telecasters were butterscotch. That's it. They were black guards. Then they were white guards. You don't start when you do see a custom color, especially on the 50s stuff. It's insanely rare, and they go for really big numbers. No joke. I had heard about one of the guitars that was at Songbirds. It was like a 57 Strat with a solid rosewood neck. It was a blonde 57 Strat with a rosewood neck. I had heard about this guitar like 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I was like, that doesn't exist. Like, how can that be a thing? And then I went to Songbirds and I saw it in the case, and I was like, Ron was right.
Okay.
Like straight up, like there's no way that's not it. And I got to go into the vault there and like kind of talk to them and see everything, and they had some of the. It's a shame that place closed, because that really was like an unbelievable place to just go. It was a venue inside. There was there was like a stage, and you could like they would have bands play there. But the guitar museum itself was like every color of like every guitar you can think of, and it was a rotating inventory. They would do like certain guitars of like they did a whole series on like ES guitars, like every model and color and like craziness. And actually, it's funny because one of the guitars was in the vault, and it was rare. It was like a Pelham Blue 330, which was like my dream guitar. But they're like, that guitar is probably, you know, maybe $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, something like that. It's under $20,000. And in this vault, you're talking about guitars that are $100,000 plus. And I said, why is that one in here? And the guy there looked at me, he's like, you have a good eye. And he goes, we didn't have room, and we had to pull it in here for like a day. He's like, that's the one thing that you caught. And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's out of place. It's great, but nice. It doesn't belong next to the Surf Sparkle Gold Hardware NAMM Show Strat that I saw. I was like, I didn't know that guitar existed. I've seen prototype Fender stuff that would just blow your mind. Stuff that you just didn't know ever existed. You know, just wacky stuff that seems like a joke. But
sort of this nutsoid kind of world of just going and finding these things. I feel like, to me, as one of these guys that, you know, I get new stuff all the time. I'm not always looking for old stuff. It's like, if the old stuff is good, then I'll take it, but I'm not actively trying to buy this stuff. But there's this, I feel like it's that whole with great power comes great responsibility kind of thing. With great pricing comes great responsibility.
Yeah, some of the guitars get pretty expensive.
There's a lot of stuff that you just kind of need to know, and people don't always bother trying to know the stuff. So, Terry, that was actually a really good question. I think everybody watching will have learned something because of it, and it just kind of go to show you how ridiculous things can be. But then again, like I think we illustrated, or at least Dakota illustrated with his answer, is that there is so much that you have to consider when it comes to buying a vintage piece. Are you buying something based off of it being a collector's piece? Are you buying something based off of it being something that you want to actually use? And then, well, when that came out, what was it in the grand scheme of instruments at the time?
Yeah, it has to do with history. Like, for example, like I have a 53, I have a Blackguard, I have a 53 Telly, and it's been refinished. It has a new nut, refret, but the body, the neck, and the pickups are original. One of the tuners has been changed, but it's period correct, and it's just like you could tell because the patina is different and blah blah blah. Anyway, that guitar still fetches a really big number because there's so few and they're so desirable.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's a refin and even though it has this, it's a number where it's whatever someone's willing to pay, but it's also in like a realistic, price range, because a straight blackguard right now is gonna run you about 30 grand. So even at 50%, you're still looking at a $15,000 used guitar. So like, it's all over the place. And Tellys, especially blackguards, because they were they're really like the first Fender solid body that you could get. Esquire, Broadcaster, Telecaster, whatever. It's all the same shape. That in and of itself has a cool vibe. Strats, like a 54 Strat, first year, they're very rare. They didn't make that many in 54, and especially, like, my buddy has a pre-October, which they have like very slight differences in the way the headstock is and the body contours. Like, they were really cut out by hand, so that you could see little inconsistencies. And certain, like, ones of that era are worth more than like the production ones that happened later in the year in 54. There's slight differences in materials and all that. So once you get into that category, it's a whole nother world, because you're talking about guitars that can get into the six-figure range plus. And I've been lucky enough I played an Explorer, a real Carina Explorer, and I got to like plug it in and actually mess with it. And then I've seen a couple other Carina guitars just like in passing, like, oh my god, and like I get to like look at it. Because they're so expensive now, it's harder and harder to even see them. Like not too long ago, you would see stuff at a guitar show, but like bursts, bursts have been $250,000 for over a decade now.
Right.
For a long time they weren't. When I was a kid, like when I wasn't even into guitars, a burst breaking six figures was like unheard of. And then now it's silly if they're under six figures. And the other thing is, it's the guitars that are on the market. Those are like, if you remember from the beginning of our conversation, where I was saying there are guitars that if somebody sees them on the market, they don't even want to buy them. So you have collectors that, like, if it hits the market, they don't want it. There's people that have a lot of crazy stuff that will never see the light of day, and it's because that's just their private collection, and that's just the way it is. And some, it's you can't. There's guys that have been collecting this stuff since the 60s, 70s, whatever. So if you were smart back then and said, these 59 Les Pauls are really nice, I'm gonna buy them right now. They're $800 a piece. Well, back then $800 money, but now if you had an $800 investment back in 1972 and that guitar is worth $250,000, well, who's to say that guy didn't buy 10 of them? So there's guys that have a room full of bursts that it's millions of dollars, and they don't,
They're just chilling.
Yeah. I heard a story about a guy who was hilarious. They were at somebody's house, and they went, like, in a closet to get something, and there was a case behind, like, something, and it was a 59 Les Paul. And now the guys who saw the case knew what it was. Like, they weren't looking for anything. They were like grabbing a coat out of the closet or something like weird, or under the stairs, some bullshit. And they said, like, Bob, like, do you know what this guitar is? And he goes, yeah. And he's like, I don't tell anybody I have it. And he's like, just put it back. And they were like, do you? And he goes, no. He goes, I know exactly what it is. And he goes, you don't have to tell me. He goes, but one, you shouldn't have been going through my stuff. And two, it's all good. Don't worry about it. And it was a 59 Les Paul. So it was like I guess it was, I forget if it was his father's and they knew what it was, and they just said, like, that's like a retirement plan.
Wow.
Yeah.
The things that are just like hanging out there in the world. All right. More folks have joined in. Good to see you all. Hey, by the way, I just wanted to remind you guys. So a couple weeks ago, you know, we had Andy from Sinusoid Cables on. He did give me a coupon code for you guys. So I know I just saw JJ's House of Jams come in. I know you and Ben really like those black rainbow patch cables that they do. So use the code SPJ10 at checkout. They're going to give you guys 10% off your order. So if you guys wanted to get yourself some new cables, that code is still active. It's going to be active for a while. So, hey, use the code, get yourself some cables, and all that good stuff. So this one that he has been working on a little bit as we've been kind of getting the show on the road. What's the deal with this guy?
Well, let me get this tech box out of the way, and you hold it and put it in the show. So this is a Mark Rudders guitar, Rudders Guitars. I believe he is outside of Nashville. I knew him when he lived in California. He lived down the street from a buddy of mine, ironically, and somebody went to, I think they went to the same church that he went to, and they were like, hey, I told him about you, and you know, you would really like this guy, he's a guitar builder. And I said, oh, cool. And I had no idea what I was in for. Mark is one of the best builders I've ever seen. And he also makes his own bridges and parts. So that bridge right there, he makes the saddles and the bridge. It's a...
Notice anything funny about that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
A three saddle strap bridge. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just be light with it because I just put those strings on.
What? Light? What are you...
Huh?
I'm a rock and roller, bud. We don't do anything light here. I'm kidding.
Ooh.
I'm kidding. What the heck?
Who?
What is going on? Let me turn it back. You know what? Let's just go straight in, guys.
Could be. I just pulled that one out of storage as well. I brought some goodies over. I was playing it though. Yesterday.
When you have a lot of gear like Dakota does, sometimes things happen. Ooh, that feels nice. That's like one of the fattest middle pickups I've ever heard.
I think those are just Fender custom shop pickups. They're nothing special.
What up, Gargut? You dirty Mark. There we go. All we need now is like a big, washy, kind of platey reverb, and we're like pretty much 80s session guitarist tone. Let's see.
Perfect. Forgive me for 1 second. As you're doing that, I just gotta take this.
Yeah. Dakota has to take a call, or do something, so text away. So we're gonna play around with this for a little bit. What up, Mickey? How you doing, buddy? Well, Terry, I can't play True Colors, but I know a little bit of Time After Time, and honestly, I'd rather play that one. I like that. I like that lick a little bit better than True Colors, but that's just me. And he's back.
Hey, studio stuff.
Hey guys. So, obviously before the pandemic really hit us hard, we were kind of at this point where I was going to be working on this project called Year of the Straps. Unfortunately, footage that I shot of a particular other strap that Dakota brought over, where I played it for you guys, the footage got corrupted somehow. So I don't have any footage of me playing it, but I have some footage of Dakota talking about it, and also talking about some of the things that we've been talking about in the live stream. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that because the footage is actually really good and there's some good information on there. So I don't know if I'm just going to like film a little like intro, outro introducing the little video footage, or if I should upload it as a Patreon exclusive, which we could really use your support over on the channel Patreon. So link is in the description below, and maybe if I get up to like, I don't know, 5 or 6 patrons, I'll maybe put that up as a bonus piece of content.
Great content.
Great content. Great content.
Who doesn't want to hear me talk?
And be the W, because it's behind a paywall, we can say whatever we want.
That's true. we go into some deep dark.
We go into the weeds on that one.
Yeah,
So if that's something you want to see, Patreon is where it's going to be at.
It's a cool strat.
Mm-hmm. You ended up selling that one too.
Yes, that one. It's actually on Reverb right now.
Mm.
The guy that I sold it to, he put it up for some crazy high number, and then he just keeps dropping the price. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. It's that's one thing that I think people need to like chill out about. Like once you sell something, whatever the person does with it,
Whatever.
Like, you know, unless you like literally go out of your way to be like lying about where it's going or like what the value was or something shady.
Mm-hmm.
But like I traded this guy, we did a deal, and the guitar's is like I could care less. So he turned around because he was like, oh, I want it for my collection, and he had a bunch of other era like that style of guitar, all the Fullerton and stuff, which is fine. But then I see it on Reverb for like a ridiculous number, and I just went, okay, like
Big deal.
yeah. There are other guys that will like email them back and be like, oh, that wasn't fair. Like, why isn't it? It's like, don't worry about it. It's not. You don't have it anymore. If he can get more for it, or if he thinks it's worth more, go for it. That's awesome. Good for him.
And at the end of the day, what you got in return was also pretty freaking cool.
It was. I was happy with it, but you know, for me, I had that Strat for a while. I had shown it to a few like cool guys that are into that stuff, but everyone was on the same page with it, where it's like dealers just want to buy it for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to offer me like, you know, wholesale or like below so they could make money, and I didn't want to do that on that one. So it ended up going to the guy that I thought it was going to be his guitar for his collection. He kept it for a little bit, and then he put it up for sale. And honestly, if he gets more money for it, great. Then that just establishes it more in the long run. And like I said, I've had a lot of guitars I could care less.
And I'm sure the other thing too is, and this is something that one of my buddies just recently experienced. He got one of the newer Trini Lopez reissues and loved the guitar, but there was something about the neck of it that he just couldn't get along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he had it for like 4 or 5 months, and now it's moved on to somebody else. Like that's That's gonna happen no matter what kind of, whether it's vintage or whether it's new gear. You're gonna have pieces of gear that are literally just how I would call transition pieces.
Yeah, things. Things move. It's just people get upset because you know what it is. It's nobody wants to feel like they got duped, or they don't want to feel like they're dumber than somebody else. And it's like, I've had people offer me the worst trades in the history of trades. Like, I had a guitar. It was like, let's just say the guitar's $1,000, just random whatever. And someone goes, "Hey, do you want to trade me?" And they show me a guitar that's $200, and I say like, it's not for me. And they go like, "Why?" And they question you, and I go, "Well, the guitar is a fifth of what I'm asking, and I don't want that guitar either way." So it's like it's a double negative. Like, I don't even want to start that conversation. And then it depends on the person. You'll get people that will go, "Oh, I didn't know." Okay, and I go, "Yeah, no worries, have a good day." Or you'll get a guy that goes, "Bro, but I really want the guitar." It's like, "What if I give you that and like a Boss DS1?" And I'm like, I had a guy the other day. It was one of the best messages I've ever gotten on Reverb. He said, "Can I trade you?" I have a rare R9.
Yeah.
A rare color R9, and he literally just sent me a message that said like, "Trades? Well, maybe. You want to offer me a real '59 Les Paul? I'll trade you for my R9, sure. You want to offer me a Squire? I'm not going to trade." So all he did was send me a picture of a Fender Strat, like a custom shop Strat, and it was like this, where you could only see it from like a weird angle, with no description whatsoever. And then he wrote underneath, he goes, "It's the same color as yours. Do you want to trade me?" And I responded back with like, it's not, I appreciate the offer, but like, it looks like you have a 1960s closet classic custom shop Strat, which is great. I go, the color being the same doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really do anything.
It's just about the value. So I was like, "This is what I'm asking. This is what I would want in trade." And he like kind of got upset and was like, not upset, but he was just being rude about it. And I just tried to like, again, talk him down. Like, "Look, man, it's not about the color. It's not about that yours is a custom shop and mine's a custom shop. It's like, this guitar is more valuable than this one. That's it. Book value. What they sell for on eBay and Reverb, how many are on the market currently, how hard they are to get, the exclusivity of that guitar." I'm sorry, but I can go and buy that kind of Strat brand new for less than I'm asking used on my guitar, first of all.
Yeah.
And second, there's a bunch of them for sale used online for $2,200. It's like, I'm asking almost $4,000 for my guitar. No, I can't trade you straight up for a guitar that's worth half the value. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, I'm not trying to put him down, but sometimes you literally have to talk to somebody like they're a toddler and explain it step by step, because in their head, they don't understand it 100%. They're looking at it like, they think they know a lot about guitars, which they might, that's fine, but I've had probably a little more experience than they have in buying and flipping and trading gear and doing what I do. So when they're talking to somebody like me, that's fine, but I'm not trying to like make friends here. It's just, I want this much, this is how much yours is worth. If that number works for you and you want to do a trade, excellent. If not, no problem, have a nice day.
Right.
The other guy on the other end of that conversation might not look at it that way. Yeah. He might think now he's offended that I said no. And it's nothing about, I don't care anything about him or whatever guitar, I'm sure he's a nice guy. It's the value of the instrument, and it's an anonymous person behind a message that was sent to me on a website. I don't know who you are, I don't know anything about you, and I don't care, not because I don't care as a person, it's because it's literally, I have a guitar for sale. If we're not doing a trade, there's no problem. There's 1,000 other guitars on Reverb right now, probably more than that. That's the one for you. Go take a train, take a plane, helicopter, whatever you gotta do. Go get that guitar.
Yeah.
This one's not for you, and that's okay.
That's okay.
That being said, here's a custom shop, Telly, and this one actually has a pretty funny story, and but in a nice way. This guitar you can see is in a Sublime with Rome music video for the song Light On off of Blessings. Rome's playing this one, and it was filmed at Eric's house. And I remember when Eric got this, he called me, he was on the road, and he is one of the guys I work with, and whenever he buys something, he'll call me or text me and say, hey, does this look right? Is this a good price? Blah, blah, blah. I do that for, guys like you, my friends. Some of my friends are in bands. It's just the same thing. Or I peck for him and shit too, so it's fine. When he sent me this photo, here, I'm going to show you guys this. Do you guys see anything weird on this guitar? This is a 1963 reissue custom shop relic telly. So 63. Anything weird? Anything weird? Weird? 63 didn't have brass saddles and a flat pole piece bridge pickup. So when Eric sent me this photo, he texted it to me and he goes, hey, I'm at a guitar shop. What do you think? And he sends me the photo and I said, bridge pickup's been swapped and the tuners have been, and the saddles have been swapped. And of course, the guy at the store was like, no. What do you mean? It's like, it's fine. And I was like, I go, do me a favor. I go, you're there, you want to buy it, right? And he's like, yeah. And I go, have him pull these two screws and show me the wiring. And I go, if the wires are the same, then I'm wrong. First of all, I know I'm not wrong. Not because I'm being arrogant, because I know what I'm looking at. In 1963, they did not put brass saddles on a Telecaster. They put those like little ridgy ones that go straight across. So, first off, a 63 doesn't have those saddles. So unless this was some weird time travel guitar, and I'm not trying to be funny right now, I'm saying like, if there was like a thing where they did, oh yeah, we did 50s pickups on a 60s body, and they did like a limited run, that's one thing. This is not that. So, they pulled the two screws, they pulled this over, and guess what? New tone pot, and it had different color leads going from both pickups, which they should be the exact same because they should be Fender Custom Shop pickups. And when he bought the guitar, I said, yeah, don't pay more than this. This is what it's worth. The pickups have been changed. This is how it happens. The guy at the guitar shop was like, oh my God, you're right. They agreed, sold it to him. He buys the guitar. He has it. I go over his house. One time we're jamming and I'm playing it and I was like, man, I really like that telly. Now I know why he called me on the road. Like, he played it and was like, this is a good one. Well, I happened to get another 63 reissue telly that was Tahitian coral, which is like one of the rarest colors. It's one of the rarest colors they make. So, and it had a crazy flame maple neck, and it was a heavy red. It had a compound radius, and it was a NAMM show limited edition. There were so many like check.
There's so many check boxes.
So I went over there and I was like, Eric, I know you have a telly already, but I was like, this telly is like the best custom shop telly I've ever played. And he played it, and he was like,
he was like, now I need to have it.
Yeah, he was like, let me think about it. He's obviously a bass player,
right?
But he's got some nice guitars. Actually, all the guitars in that music video came from me. Now that I think about it, I swear to God. There's a tiki bird. There's a part where they're playing in front of his garage, and he's playing a tiki bird, which came from me. This guitar, well, now I own it, but like he bought it with my blessing, I guess. And then the other bass in the video is that 5-string Mike Lowell, which I helped get that and helped design that bass for Eric, and that's a whole other story. But anyway, I was right. I pulled this, and guess what? It's a Seymour Duncan, and it sounds great.
There you go.
And I love Duncan.
So we're basically at a 60s telly reissue with 50s pickups.
And this is
that one was the oddball.
This is the twisted telly, which sounds fine. But I talked to Duncan. Shout out to Kevin out there. He's the man. Kevin Harvey. We talked about making a custom set for this because this is a Seymour Duncan 5.2. It's a flat pole piece bridge pickup. There's no, they're not staggered. Yeah. And it has the brass saddles, so you have the sound and the twang of a 50s telly with the warmth of rosewood and the feel of not being a baseball bat neck. This is like a 60s style neck. And I'll play it for a second. This is on the Dumble Clean with a compressor, and I'll start on the bridge pickup.
It has that thing.
Does that thing.
It does that thing.
Neck back up.
If it didn't do that thing, you'd kind of be upset.
Bison? It says delayed bison.
Looks like Terry hasn't. Terry, you've been rocking on the questions here. Best older sleeper guitars on the used market to look at for cheap cost.
Old Tokais.
Old Tokais.
Yep.
And hey, Terry, they made Fender style and Gibson styles. So
here's the people know how good those guitars are, and the good ones will usually like people. That's it is what it is. The sleeper ones that like if you find the right one, I found. Actually, it's in my car. I found 2 Tokai P basses at a Japanese thrift store for I got them for a killer deal because to them it was just Tokai's Japanese and it's just that's what we had in the store, whatever, we don't care.
Right.
I saw them and I was like, oh my god,
oh, no.
That's a spaghetti logo and that's custom. And I was like, I never see these in the United States that are not on eBay because you can go on eBay Japan and Tokai's, Bernie's, there's Fernandez, there's some killer ones. Actually, Fernandez Rickenbacker copies. They go for as much as real Rickenbackers.
Wow.
They're that good.
Wow.
And my buddy had one at a pawn shop in Orange County, and I walked in, it was a black one, and I wanted it to play it. I obviously I know the values and stuff, which is fine, but I was like, oh dude, this plays better than a real Rick. They're just, the necks feel better to me, just personal preference. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I'm thinking I was like, maybe I can get it for a good price. He goes, yeah, that one's $1,400. And I was like, for a copy? And then I looked it up and that's the market has gone up so much. I hadn't even sleeping on it, but I remember not that long, less than 10 years ago, I was in a Guitar Center in New York, and they had a '77 Bernie black Les Paul custom with 3 pickups for like $700. Like that's Epiphone prices, practically.
That is Epiphone prices.
Yeah, and that guitar right now would probably be close to $2,000. And you can't even touch, like, it's so good. It's a vintage Les Paul custom at that point.
One of the first times I like met and actually hung out with Dave Friedman. His like shop guitar. Whoa!
Oh, didn't see that.
Is basically a Bernie Les Paul custom, and it's just like, yeah, totally.
I have a guy that has 2 bursts, and he wants me to look for an original Tokai Love Rock. Yep. And he's like,
you're not gonna get away without me getting like 1 volume swell of that. Continue your story then.
Yeah. So yeah, sleeper guitars, Tokai. Tokai, Bernie, Fernandez, that whole scene, if you can find them, and not all of them are great, but if you can find the right ones, they're really good. I'm going to take my glasses off, so they're crazy glitter. But yeah, that's that. So, any other questions? Oh, I can tell you, actually right now, I was thinking about buying it off Reverb, straight up. There was a Tokai Paisley that was like aged perfectly. That was like an original. It was either a first year or a second year, and it was an early one, but it was really good. And then sleeper wise, I don't even think you've seen it yet. I found one at a pawn shop. It was a Paisley, an original Fender. Probably I don't think it was Tokai, but they were made by the same company. Basically, the way that I look at it, Tokai was making better stuff than Fender and Gibson in like the late 70s, early 80s. You know, there's exceptions, but like you find a good love rock like Tokai Les Paul, they go for $2,500, $3,000 if it's the right one. So anyway, that guitar, I was in a pawn shop. My buddy actually works there. He knows me, and he was like, "Hey, he's like, this just came in. I thought you'd like it." And there's a video on my Instagram a while ago from it, and I'm playing like I had my Ram's Head Big Muff, and it's just like I just played for like 1 second. I'm like, "Yep, sold." It was an original Paisley Strat body that somebody put a Floyd Rose on, Seymour Duncan pickups, a hum single, and they put like some random ass like shredder neck. So I got rid of the shredder neck. I got a hockey stick like ESP style headstock, and that is like such a badass 80s shredder.
Oh man,
and I paid like now you got to think of this.
Oh god.
The body of that guitar, now it's been routed, so that hurts the value. But it has an original Floyd, vintage Seymour Duncan pickups, vintage Paisley Tokai Fender 80s body. I think I paid like $375 for the guitar.
I mean, it's just the idea of a guitar that's like supposed to be classic, and then it's made into this shredder, and it's got Paisley on it.
My friend who texted me earlier, probably. Anyway, he found the other day. He sent me a message. He goes, "Hey, would you want this Strat?" And it was a.
How do we get back to that?
It was a. These are all your bills. It was an Antigua. An Antigua Strat that somebody put a gold Floyd on, hum single. Wow. And I texted him back and I said, "Just buy it." I go, whatever. I go. He showed me the price, and it was a fair price, and I was just like, if you go and get that guitar for me, I swear to you, I will buy it off of you as soon as I see you, or I will trade you whatever you want. It's not even that guitar is like super valuable; it's just totally my guitar. And he texted me back. He goes, I literally saw this guitar and said like that guitar that's for Dakota, and I was like, yes, it is. Now the guy had sold the guitar before we got to him, so it's no harm, no foul. But it was an Antigua. Let me see if I can pull up a picture just so you can see it and just go, wow.
I'll be amazed for you guys.
was in a minute.
Oh yeah, we got that'll be how we wrap up the show tonight, everybody. Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. I don't love that it's a maple neck, but here you go. Up.
Little there we go.
See that, guys? So that's an
Nice.
Antigua Strat hum single with a Floyd.
I love it.
And yeah, it was a fair price, and it was a 78 or a 79. So like, I love Antiguas, and whatever. Like I was happy with that. So
Nice.
yeah, let me see this for 1 second. I'll show you some of the crazy delay stuff. One of the reasons I love the Kemper, not sponsored by them, but some of the bands I work for are, and I really like these, and I'm gonna start doing some cool profiles and stuff. It's really easy to dial in. You can find some really, like everything right up front. So if I wanted to find a chorus, I would just go to the C section. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
So if I go to delays,
Bad tape.
and then I can control the feedback and all that right here. Yeah, so yeah, that's the tap tempo here. So I'll go to something really crazy, and I'll make my own presets. Like real quick, I'm gonna go out to a clean channel, which I'm just gonna go back to, and that's my Dumble clean. And I'm gonna go to the delay, hold this, and that's called legacy delay, which is the normal. Right? Now, so that's fine, right? If I go here, I can add literally like 10 delays or something. Right? I could add 1, 2, 3, 4. I could add 8 right off if I really wanted to. So let's go to this one. Let's do downward tape. Let's turn the mix up on that.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like sort of reverse.
So that's gonna have a higher feedback. So if I do like a dotted eighth thing. Not exactly dotted eighth, that'll do. So now if I go to add another one, and I add something like really extra crazy.
We're gonna go extra crazy now.
So some kind of reverse thing.
That's a good one. That's a good 100% wet sound right there. Hey, Mickey, I see your question asking, are 60th anniversaries good? What exactly 60th anniversary are you referring to? Stratocasters, Telecasters, and just want some clarification so we make sure we answer your question correctly.
Swinging U2. I wonder what that means.
Gee, I wonder.
But yeah, sometimes I'll just add them. There's like once that they say that. I'll make an octave. Now that's not like it's a great sounding effect, but I would probably use some like pedals or some out or if I'm really doing it. But this is great to write and do stuff quick.
Talking mice. Sweet. Okay, so we got some clarification on the question. So Mickey's asking what your experience with 60th anniversaries tellies are, because he sees them popping up every once in a while. So I guess they probably pop up a little bit more frequently than other guitars that he's looking at. I mean, I guess that kind of does just kind of go into a little bit of a weedy topic of like reissues.
I'll be straight up with you. The guitar that you like playing the best is the one that you should buy. Like that's the real answer. When it comes to all the collectability stuff about being a 60th anniversary or special editions and all that, like that's icing on the cake. But generally, those type of guitars will hold their value a little better than a standard guitar, right?
Right.
That's kind of common sense. But you're going to pay a premium up front for it because it is something a little, it's something
special.
Cool. Yeah, I'm guessing, I'm not, like when it comes to the new stuff, like I don't know that model off the top of my head, but I would think that it's like a butterscotch reissue, probably, something a little different. Let me look it up real quick. 60th anniversary Telly?
Yes. Because I'm almost certain the way that they roll things out, it's like there's going to be tiers of different model. Like there probably is like a 60th anniversary, like custom shop, made in USA, probably an MIM.
Okay, so check it out. So I'm looking at 3 right now on Reverb, like a natural or some sort of. It looks natural or butterscotch, but it looks more natural in the photo. 1600, a sunburst with a maple neck is 1750, and then a rosewood board 1700, and then another one for 1100, another one for 1800, another one for 1500, another one for 1500. So they're kind of all over the place. It's a matter of if you like that guitar, if you like the features, and you like what it plays and sounds like. To me, if you're going to get into the category where you're going into the upper teens into the 2000 range, I would personally look for something like this. Because if you look hard enough, you can probably find one of these for around $2,000, 22.
Now, when you say
like that.
something like this, because I just
Custom
want to clarify,
shop. Yeah.
something from the custom shop that maybe has been messed with, or something
No,
from
just
the
custom
custom shop. Okay.
This, I forget what Eric paid for this. I think I told him like, try to get it for like 1,800 to $2,000. Because I said, I was like, if it's a good guitar, you're gonna like, don't miss it because it's an extra $100 over what it should be. If you're gonna play it, you're gonna play it. That's the bottom line. This guitar is really great, and like I said, that other Telly that I had that we traded for, that Telly was way better than this one. Like it just is. Like it was a crazy rare color, crazy flame maple neck, and it had all these features and all this stuff. But Eric really likes red and orange guitars. Like he didn't have any really in that vein at that time, and he was like, dude, I really like that color, and I said, yeah. I was like, because he's one of my best friends, like straight up. Like yes, I work with him and all that, but like I would never steer him in the wrong direction or try to sell him something or anything like that. I get a lot of guitars. I don't call every single person that I know that. I don't call you every time. I go, I just got this. Do you want it? That's because one, it's a difference between, hey, check this out. I think you'd appreciate it, or like, hey, I want to sell you something. It's not like that. That Telly was so special. That Telly was so special that while I was buying it, 2 other dealers camped out at my booth at the guitar show and tried to like snake it, like not snake it out, but they just said, oh, when you're done, we'll make an offer. And I was like, no, that doesn't. I don't do that to you. I hope you don't do that to me.
Oh boy.
So as soon as I bought it, they came over and then tried to buy it.
Oh, of course.
And it was because of that color. That color is Tahitian coral is extremely rare for custom shop guitar, and it was written inside the control cavity, and it was written on the paperwork like "see below," and it was like typed in a special box like this guitar is Tahitian coral. Like the color was labeled that. And Tahitian coral is basically Fiesta Red. It's extremely similar. But to the untrained eye, it's Fiesta Red. To the trained eye, the other dealer, he was a custom shop dealer who tried to buy that guitar. He saw it from across the room and like walked over. And I'm not going to say who it is because we're buddies, but it was funny because I was like, I literally was like, no, there's no waiting for the guitar. I'm like, dude, I was like, get out of here. Like when I buy it, and you want to buy it from me, that's one thing. But yeah, basically I brought it over. Eric played it and he dug it, and then he called me the next day and was like, I've been thinking about that Telly. He's like, let's do a trade. And I said, well, I'll trade you for this one with the swapped out pickups because I wanted a Telly. I wanted a custom shop Telly because that was going to keep that one. So I was like, you know what? I was like, this one means something to me. It means a lot that, he called me to buy this and all that. So like, I have a connection. Then, it was a bonus. I found out that it was in the music video. That's all. That's cool and all, but that's not why I bought it. This guitar means something to me because it came from my friend, and I play it, and it's my go-to Telly. And then you saw my pink Esquire. Yeah. So like I have a maple neck Telly. I'm gonna put that Duncan, that new Brad Paisley Secret Agent. Yeah. I'm getting one of those for it. Yeah. So that'll be a Stealth Esquire. Yeah. So I'll have a maple neck Telly. I have a rosewood neck Telly, and they feel different. They're different guitars. And this one, this is the guitar that I could pick this up if I was just playing like, hey, we're gonna go do a gig. Let's do something real quick. I could pick this guitar up and clean tone.
We're not plugged in. Derp. Here you go. Perf derp. That was my bad.
We're about to plug in a Super Fuzz, by the way.
Yes.
A real one.
Alright. There we go. We're back on.
Oh, okay.
Turn off that madness.
Easy. So, if I was doing that, like, let's check it out. I can put it on a clean tone, put it in between. Get my funk thing on. Bridge pickup Telly. And if I wanted some gain, and clean tones. So this to me
Is worth it.
Yeah, and it weighs 7 pounds on the nose. It's super light.
Okay.
I could wear this all night and I could play this guitar and I'm happy with it. That's all I care about.
Well, with that in mind, we're going to do something with the last little bit of time left. Dakota brought over this very sick Super Fuzz that looks like it's been painted recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was painted by a band that I work for, Atreyu. Alex, the singer of the band, is an artist, and he painted that for me. And it was already painted when I got it, and I care about the pedal being a Super Fuzz, not that it's super collectible because it's original and blah blah blah. The circuit's original. Actually, that pedal belonged to Tony Bruno, the amp builder. Weirdly enough.
Interesting.
And, yeah, I found it on Reverb, and the guy was like, yeah, it was, and I was, I know those amps a little bit.
Mm.
So it works, and it was already painted over. It looked like it had spray painted black, like the whole thing at some point. So I gave it to Alex, and I was like, hey, would you want to do something funky with it? He said, yeah. So he painted it this like post-apocalyptic punk pink with a silver disco foot switch. That's what I call it.
I dig it.
So let's go to a clean tone.
There we go. Did we get the... Okay, we got it right.
Yeah.
All right. For another time. It's getting to be about that time, and I want to thank you guys so much for joining us for this very interesting episode of SPJ Live. Thanks to Dakota for coming back.
Dude, my pleasure.
It's great to see you again.
Yeah.
Thank you guys all for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please do give the video a thumbs up. Share it. Come back to the channel. Same bat time, same bat channel next week for another edition of SPJ Live. Until then, I hope you all enjoy yourselves. Have a good time. Stay healthy. Great tone. Happy stomping. And I'll see you all soon. Cheers. Nice. I went right.